Good morning, everyone. So, in the last session, we discussed about the generic concepts here. Observe carefully the basic example we identified here. So, what exactly we are doing here? Now, you can see at the class level, we are trying to provide the one additional parameter that is called type here. Okay, it is bounded with this particular t, and internally, what I'm doing here, so that same t I'm trying to use as a variable, and I'm trying to use as a constructor, and here I'm trying to use as a the same t variable for return type here. Okay, so this is the method return type, and this is the constructor I'm using, and this is the variable I'm trying to declare here. Okay, so now what you are observing basically, whenever we are trying to create this particular object here, so carefully observe what we are doing here. Here we are trying to create a integer. Getting the point? Here we are trying to create this particular integer. Now, internally, what we are doing here? Here I'm trying to provide the type. Inside this particular type, I'm trying to provide as a integer. Now I'm trying to create an object of this particular integer. Same way, here I'm trying to provide the string. Getting the point? Now you can see here the name of the class is same, and here I'm trying to specify the string. Whenever I'm trying to specify this particular string, I'm creating string related object here. And finally, here I'm trying to provide the box here. So here I'm trying to create the box object. Okay, this is very important example we discussed in the last session. What exactly we are doing here? Even whenever I'm trying to provide this particular type, so using this particular type, I created multiple object. Here one object as an integer, another object as a string, and another object I'm trying to create it as a box here. So these two are the predefined classes, and box is our custom class we discussed in the previous example. Now what we need to understand, so whenever we are providing this particular generic type here, now what happens internally, we created multiple objects here. Get in point, we created multiple objects here. So if I'm not providing this particular generic type, how many objects we are going to create? Only one object here. Getting the point? Only one object we are going to create here. But right now, how many objects we created? Three objects we created here. Okay. So if I'm going to run, all the three objects are going to print. Now you can see 88 value, it is an integer value. So the type I'm printing as an integer. Second one, I'm trying to print as a string. And the third type I'm trying to print as a box here. Okay, for this particular box, what are all the parameters we had? These are all the three parameters I provided here. Okay, so this is important example we have discussed in the last session. Now, along with this, what I did, I come up with a non-generic. What are the drawbacks we are going to find whenever we are not defining this particular non-generic here? So you can see, so this is the non-generic object here. Now what I did basically, here I use the object. In place of t, I come up with this particular object here. Now here, the constructor parameter I'm providing as an object, and I'm trying to returning the particular method as an object here. Okay, because all the classes in our Java by default is going to extend it from the object class. Because of that, I defined as a object here. Now, whenever I'm trying to create an object of this particular non-generic, here, this particular section, we need to understand whatever I'm highlighting here. Now here, what I'm doing here, I'm trying to create a non-generic object. Now, after creating this particular non-generic, so this is the type it is returning as an integer. But problem, whenever we are trying to call this particular get obj, we are trying to convert explicitly here. Okay, we are trying to converting explicitly here. This is very important here. Whenever we are trying to use a non-generic object here, so this is the additional step we need to use. We need to use the converter first, like which data type we are trying to converting, that we need to provide here. But so this section code we define in the generic class. Here we are not using any the typecasting logic here. But here whenever we are using non-object here, like it is a non-generic, so simply it is a object class if we define here. Now what we need to understand here, here we are defining this particular integer. Okay, this is very important example we need to understand here whenever we are using non-generic. These are all the some drawbacks we identified here. Same way for this particular string. Here I created one string object here. Now whenever I'm trying to converting this particular val, again I need to convert to this particular string. Otherwise, it will return the object information. It will not return the expected value. Okay, it will not return the expected value. So this is very important example we need to understand here. Okay, so this is very important example we need to understand for this particular example, and later we discuss about the two parameters. So the first example we discuss about the one, now we discuss about the two parameters. And here I define the two parameters as a random characters here. So earlier we defined as a t, now I taken as a r and a g. Now I taken as a r and a g. Okay, so this is very important here. Okay, so here now what we are doing here, we are trying to define as a r comma g. R comma g. This is important information we need to understand here. So what exactly we are doing here? So now you can see R is a object 1, so G is a object 2 we are defining, and this is the two parameters we are defining here. And so these are all the basic. These are all basic. The constructor we are defining, and finally R object I am returning and G object I am returning because we are having two parameters here. Because of this particular two parameters, I defined like this. Now, what we need to understand here? Now, what we need to understand here? So, observe carefully. Here, we'll go to the non-generic demo. Here, I define the example. Here, I'm defining the first parameter I'm taking as a integer, and the second parameter I'm trying to take as a string here. So, this is the way I created object, and I print the two values here. So, this is the simple example we discussed in our last session. Now, we'll try to continue the same generic concept here. So, observe carefully. Another important example I'm going to provide here. Another important example I'm going to provide. So, observe carefully. So, now we'll discuss today's session bounded types here. What exactly the bounded types will do? Okay, so using this particular the generic type, I'm going to write the simple example how this particular bounded types are going to use here. So let me define one example. This is basically bounded type. Okay, so this is the name of the class I'm trying to create as a bounded type, and here I'm going to provide t. Okay, so we can take any parameter here. So there is no restrictions here. We can take any parameter. Now finally, I define as a t. And after defining this particular t here, now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to define as a array type here. Okay, whatever the t we are going to provide, the same t we are going to create as a array here. And after this, now what I will do, here I'm going to create a constructor. So bounded type here, and this is the constructor I'm defining here, and so this particular constructor internally it will try to expect as a array values. Now what I'm doing here, so I'm going to assign into this particular num is equals to O. Okay, and after this, now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to define as a one method, so it will try to return double value, and here now what I'm doing here, so average method I'm defining, and this average method basically what it will do internally, getting the point. This average method what it will do internally, now that we need to understand here. So here I'm trying to write some of this particular. Okay, I'm trying to do some of this particular number values, and later I will do the average here. So how I'm trying to identify this? Now, int I is equals to 0 and I less than nums dot length. So if you observe carefully, here nums dot length here and I plus plus. Okay, so this is the loop. Now here what I'm doing here, I'm trying to find out the all the values. First I will try to do the sum, and later based on this particular sum I'm going to find out the the particular average here. But how I'm trying to find this particular sum? So sum plus is equals to nums of I. Okay, sum plus is equals to nums of I. So here I'm getting an error. Now what we need to understand basically, so from this particular num, we need to convert into double value. Getting the point? So right now, if we observe carefully, what is the error we are getting here? Getting the point? Now you can see the operator plus is equals to undefined for the argument type yes. Because we are expecting double, but the original value we are having t. Original value we are having t. Getting the point? So what type of parameter we are going to provide? So right now compiler cannot understand. Getting the point? Because this parameter is a generic parameter we are going to provide dynamically, and here the value we are going to provide, the parameter value we are going to provide at runtime. Okay, so this is very important example we need to understand here. This particular type basically we are going to provide at runtime. But while implementing this particular compile time, so compiler cannot understand here. So what is the value of we are going to get here? But right now what we are doing here, we are trying to converting into this particular W. So basically to convert this, so we can use this particular example called double value. Getting the point? This particular double value we already discussed in the last session. So whenever I'm trying to call this particular double value, easily the value, whatever the value we are going to get as a based on this particular index, it will try to convert into this particular sum. But the problem, we are not calling this particular double value. Why? Why we are not calling this double value? So we don't know which type of the generic type we are going to provide here. Getting the point? Because whenever I'm trying to do this particular average, first what I'm doing is I'm using the sum. After using this particular sum, now what I will do, I will call this particular return statement and sum by whatever the length we are going to have based on the length. Okay, we'll do the division operation. This particular division operation basically it will return the average here. But the problem here, whenever I'm trying to converting the t type, because the nums basically it is a type t. So now at the compilation time we cannot understand what exactly the t will now. Okay, whenever we are doing this particular related example, when you are trying to do the specific method, whenever you are trying to call the specific method, now what we need to write some condition here. The condition I'm going to write at a parameter level. The generic parameter level, I'm trying to write the condition. So observe carefully, and here how I'm writing the condition. So t extends with a number. Okay. So whenever this particular I'm writing here, now you can see whatever the error we are getting earlier, the error is resolved now. Now if you observe carefully, this number, the double value is coming from where? Inside this particular number class. So now you can see float value, double value. Getting the pen. And this number will contain all the methods here, int value, long value. Now what exactly it is doing here? Internally it is converting int, it is converting long, it is converting float, and it is converting double, and something like a byte. Okay, short it is converting. Okay, this is the serial version UID. Now what you understand? All the number related methods are available inside this particular number class. So number is a one of the abstract class, because we discussed this example in the previous example. So integer is extending number, long is extending, float is extending, double is extending. All the number related classes are extending from the this particular number. Now observe carefully. Happily, we are able to convert this particular average now. So what exactly this particular T? This particular T, we need to provide whatever the classes are going to extend from the number. This is important here. Whatever the T we are going to provide here, it should extend this particular number. If any other type you are providing, we are going to get an error. Getting the point? And here what we are doing is we are making some restrictions. So this is one of the important example we are discussing. This example we'll call it as a basically bounded types here. Okay. This example we'll call it as a bounded type. Now what I will do inside this here I'm going to make comment here. Okay, and here I will write a objects here. For this particular types here I'm going to write the object here. So how I'm trying to write this particular object? First we need what we can call it as a numbers array. For this I'm trying to write an integer. This is inums. Okay, 10 comma 20 comma 30 40 50 and 60. Okay, so these are all the 60 value I'm providing for this particular integer array. And what I will do, what is the object we created? Bounded type. And now you can see by default it is providing as a number. Why it is providing as a number? Because we provided one condition. So T extend the number. For example here, now I'm trying to extend with the integer, and after extending this, so BT, it is nothing but bounded types here, and is equals to new, the bounded type I'm trying to provide here. So here inum, because he is expecting one type of arrays here. So if you go to this particular constructor, now you can see here it is expecting array of values. Whenever it is expecting array of values, now what I'm doing is I'm providing this particular inums, and this is a inum integer array. Okay, so finally bt dot average method. bt dot average method we can call, and we can print this. Okay, we can print this. Now you can see we'll try to find out the average value. So basically here I'm trying to providing this particular integer value, but this average, what exactly it is doing it? It is returning the double here. Okay, it is returning the double, but here I'm not getting any error. So finally I'm getting the average value as a 35 here. Average value I'm getting as a 35. Okay, so now another example. So if you observe carefully, another example now, double denums. Okay, and here I'm going to write 45.1, 96.2, 85.3, and 74.4, and 56.7, 89.9. Okay, so these are all the some values I created. So finally what I'm doing here, I'm trying to create the same bounded object here, and here I'm going to write dbt. So instead of, so this is make as a double. Okay, so type is important here. Whatever the type we are creating, the type is important. Now you can see the first one we identified 35, second one we identified 74. Okay, so this is all about the average of this particular, the whatever the number we provided here. Whatever the number we provided, so this is the way of finding the average here. Now finally, if you observe carefully, now I'm trying to create a one string array. Okay, the string array basically here I'm trying to create as a comma b, c, and D. So these are all the 4 is fine. Okay, this is the string array I'm creating. Now observe carefully. Whenever I'm trying to provide in this particular bounded type, I'm giving as a string here, SBT is equals to new bounded type, and here I'm going to provide as a snum. But observe carefully, I'm getting an error. Getting the point? I'm getting an error. Why I'm getting an error here? Getting the point? So why I'm getting this error? So now we'll see this error. So bounded mismatch. The type string is not a valid substitute for this particular bounded parameter t extend number. Okay, so basically t string basically it is a one of the final class. Now it is not extending any other classes. Any other classes. Now if you go to this particular double class, so if you see this double is also one of the final class and it is extending from the number. Getting the point? So this is the way we can make the conditions here. Okay, so this is the way we can make the condition. So one more example. Now what I will do here I'm going to write the, so one more example. Instead of this particular number, or let me write. So here I'm going to write the, so this is we identified. Because of this we are getting an error. We cannot use this particular string related. Whatever the classes we are having, it should extend from the number. Now I'm trying to write the one more class. So bounded type 2. And here now observe here I'm trying to make R. Okay, so this is the different parameter I'm making, or you can use a Z. Okay, and this particular Z it needs to extend from the box class. Okay, so this is our custom class we created. Getting the point? This is our custom class we created, and where we define inside this particular object we can use here. Okay, so if I'm going to open this, we have a one method, something like value method we are having. So this particular value we are going to use here. Getting the point? Now you can see this is the another condition I'm making here. Now what I will do here, I'm going to provide this particular private Z object here. Okay, private Z object. So anytime you can provide like the name of the character, anything we can take it. So for this purpose I'm using Z here, and here I'm going to use a constructor. So something like bounded type 2, and here I'm going to provide something like obj. Okay, so this is the object creation, and finally what I will do, I'm going to use the same double, and here what we can do, we are going to call value method here I'm calling, and here obj dot, here we can call the value method. So where is this particular value method? And I think we need to check what is the type for this particular value. So here it is a default, we need to go for the public here. Okay, so this method we need to use as a public here. Now I'm going to call again the value method, it is returning. Okay, maybe it is a, okay, it is a void type. So what I will do, I'm trying to changing this. Okay, so we are using, So okay, this is a way we can call. Now observe carefully. So this is the Z as I'm making as a extent of this particular box, and I'm going to provide this particular object here. And internally, now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to initializing this particular object here. So finally, what we will do, we'll return this particular value. Okay. So I am going to come up with the same object here. Here only, I'm going to create the same object, bounded type 2, and here, what are all the classes we can extend? What are all the classes we can extend here? Something like box weight. So whenever we are extending this particular box weight, so not this particular package, we define the box, and okay, here we don't have any other methods. So I think the import statement, whatever we used here, so this is wrong here. So we cannot go for this particular box here. We need to use a different import that is called inheritance here. Now, inside this particular inheritance here, we need to write the same method. Okay, here also we are having. I'm modifying this. Okay, I'm modified this particular method. What happens here? Uh, I'm going to comment on this right now. So otherwise, we'll use a return type here, because this is important here whenever we are trying to use the methods. Return. Okay, so this is the way we can write the value method inside the box weight. Now I'm going to create an object of this particular box weight. Here I'm trying to specify the type called box weight. We need to import this. So this is important here. We have two classes. So which is available from the core Java 07, and another one is inheritance. So we need to import from the inheritance here. Okay, this particular class only, it is extended the box object, and bt2, so new bounded type. And here now if you observe carefully, here it is returning box weight. Why it is coming as a box weight here? Because whatever the type we provided here, box weight here, by default the generic, whatever the parameter we are using, it will try to convert it automatic. Now you can see we need to create a box weight object. First one, what we need to create here, box weight, something like bw, new box weight. Here we have around four parameters: 45.1, 78.2, and 96.3, and so 85.4. Any other parameter we are having? So I think 4. And this is the BW. Okay. Now you can see finally. So I'm trying to call bt2 dot, so while. what happens internally? Box weight is not extending, is extending, right? Why I'm getting an error? So any example we did not save? Let me save. Yeah. So all the errors are resolved here. Now you can see we are not getting any errors here. So if I'm going to run this, we'll see this particular box parameter constructor is calling internally, because here we are creating the box weight object. Because of this particular constructor, it will call the box class constructor. This section we already discussed in the last session. And here the bounded type 2, I'm trying to come up with the box weight here. And the box weight, this is the value we are getting here. Okay, some bigger value we are getting here. Getting the one, because I provided some bigger value. Because of this, it's trying to multiply. So finally, this is the result we are getting. Okay, now this is the way of writing this. For example, if I'm trying to write another class, so it's nothing but something like, if I'm going to write generic. Okay, if I'm going to write this particular generic here, now this particular generic, it is a mismatch type, because here you can see this particular z parameter is extends from the box here. But here, whatever the type we provided as a gen, it is not the valid type here. Okay, so this is the way we can make some restrictions. But how we are making the restriction? Using this particular, the one of the bounded type parameter. With the help of this particular bounded type parameter, we are extending like this. Okay, any questions here? Any questions regarding this particular bounded type parameters?
Hi, sir. I have one question. So if we use our customized object, so we cannot make use of the primitive data types, right, sir?
Yeah, basically the important one, whenever you are using the generic type here, we are not going to
Yes.
use any primitive type.
Yeah. If we extend to any one class, that
Not
particular
only
class
this
will exist.
extend, yeah, not only this extends, basically anything. For example, where I created this generic object here. So if I'm trying to explain here, you can see instead of integer, if I'm going to use int, now it is giving me an error in the single parameter. Even this particular single parameter also, it cannot use the primitive type. So whatever we are going to provide, all are applicable as object types.
Object types. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So if we don't have anything, now I will try to provide the another important concept called wildcard arguments here. So how we can define the wildcard arguments here. So we'll see the simple example how this particular wildcard arguments are going to work. So first I will explain the without the wildcard arguments here. Now later we'll try to identify the how this particular wildcard arguments are going to provide. The simple example basically, first I will write this section of code. Here, I'm going to write the section of code to understand the advantage of this particular wildcard arguments here. Now, what I'm trying to write here I'm having integer numbers. Okay, so I'm going to copy this particular integer numbers here, and so I'm going to copy this particular double numbers. Okay, these are all the two arrays I'm creating here. Now, what I will do here, I'm going to write the simple method here inside this particular bounded type. Inside this particular bounded type, I am going to create a one more method. The name of the method will return boolean type here. So something like same average method I am trying to provide, and this one is expecting object type. So what is the object type I am trying to providing here? Something like bounded type t. Okay, instead of this particular number, I'm trying to make as a t. And here, what I'm doing here, I'm trying to make as a OB here. Okay, so this is the parameter I'm making here. So now observe carefully, the method parameter also I'm trying to make as a type here. Getting the point? So here, once I provide this particular type, now what I will do, here I'm going to check the condition. Okay, here I'm going to check this particular condition. If this particular average equals to OB dot average, because I'm passing as a another object here. So if this particular two averages are equal here, now what I'm doing here? So simply return true. Okay, else return false. Okay, so this is the one method I'm defining, something like same average. So whatever the parameter we are providing here, I'm going to get same average, or so different average I'm going to get. So that is I'm trying to find out with the help of this particular method. Okay, now here what I'm doing here what I will do, here I'm going to call this object here. So before calling this, now what I will do, we need a object of this, and here I'm going to call bt dot same average, and here I need to specify the object type. So what is the object type I can specify? Something like this is the another object type I want to specify. So here I'm going to comment out average information here. Okay, so this is the same object I'm providing here. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to make the condition. So this is the condition I'm making, and if this particular same object, if it is written same, now what I will do, I will return a simple message here. This message will contain the whatever the averages are same. So whatever the average we are going to provide, both are same. And in the else section, now what I will do, average differs. Okay, these are the differs. But what we need to understand here, why I'm getting an error here. Getting the point? So if I will explain one more time. The same method, here we define the bounded type. Here we are trying to specify the type of object here. Whatever the class we are having, so I'm trying to provide the method parameter. Because this is, we discussed in the last example, we can provide method, the parameter object as a parameter. The same thing I'm providing. And here, this particular bounded type, now I created one of the object to call W. Okay, and the method I'm calling with help of this particular integer. But why I'm getting an error here? Any idea? So what you're trying to think here? Why I'm getting anything I'm missing here?
Curly braces?
Nothing, because it is a single statement, we don't need to write. Okay, we'll see the error first. So what is the error is providing? The method, the same average method is bounded with the integer. Now what I'm doing here? Getting the point. If you observe carefully, the bounded type is internally, it is expecting as an integer. But now what we are passing here? We are passing double. Here now you can see we are passing double. So whatever the type we defined here, the type is different. Getting the point? This is important. So if we go to this particular method, again observe carefully. Here t is extending number. Okay, the condition is satisfied. But the problem here, whatever the t we are providing here, the method, getting the point. This is important. Like which object, based on the which object we are calling this particular method. So it is expecting the same type here. It is expecting same type. But right now I'm providing the different type. So this is basically the type I'm providing here double, and the object we created as a integer. So here whatever the generic we are providing, so this type is different here. So because of this particular type, this method is giving me an error. Okay, so if you want to understand here, now you can read the same this particular statement I am going to copy and I will paste it here. So in the below statement, I am going to paste it. Now you can read this. This is the entire error message basically. The method, whatever the method we defined, same average method is expecting bounded type integer. Getting the point? Compiler automatically it is converted into integer. Why it is automatically converted? Because of this particular BT. Because of this particular BT is having bounded type integer. Okay, so in place of this particular T, it is automatically converted as a integer. Now in the now you can see the same method, some method name it is, and in the type call, this is the class here. Getting the point? So this is the method is providing, and this is the class here. The class also it's converted into integer. Now it is not applicable for the arguments call bounded type double. Bounded type double. Getting the point? So this is very important here. Now what is the solution for this particular method? What is the solution for this particular method here? Okay, now you can see if I'm going to change type here. Basically, this section only will call it as the wildcard parameter, something like question mark. Getting the point? Here, I'm not defining any T, B, A, B, C something. Okay, just I'm making question mark here. Whenever I'm making this particular question mark, now you can see any error we are getting here. We are not getting any error. Getting the point? This is very important here. Now, what you understand here? Now, what you understand here? If I'm going to write this, so any error it's providing. So this is the bounded type is expecting the question mark. The question mark we are going to call it as a wildcard argument here. Okay, so this particular question mark we'll call it as this particular wildcard argument here. Now the error is resolved. So basically what we are providing here this particular type anything here. This particular type anything we are going to pass. For example, whatever we created in the string related example where I created string, yeah, this string, and I will copy this, and here I will paste it here. Now what I'm doing here, so basically because of this, now observe carefully, because of this particular class level, the bounded type, we are unable to create an object. Because of this particular bounded type, this thing we are unable to create object here. Okay, so what exactly we can do? First, if I want to pass the string related information, we need to remove this particular condition. We need to remove this particular condition. So then only we are going to get the solution. Okay, so what we will do, we'll define the one more example. We'll try with the different example. So now I'm trying to comment out this. I'm trying to comment out this particular string related example. So I'm going to run this example. Now you can see this average we are getting as a different here, because this is the double related information and this is the integer related information. So both the average are not equal. So this the average information we discussed in the last example. Now you can see if I'm going to enable this, we can easily find out the averages here. Now we can see, so the average for the integer we are getting 35. So this is for the double. Because of that we are getting a different. But what we need to understand here, whenever we want to provide the different type of values, so this is a way we can make the example. Now what I will do here, I'm going to create one example, the wildcard example here, so that we'll get to know more example, like more understanding of this. Okay, so then the name of the class I'm trying to create as a wildcard, and this particular class here. So we'll see here. Now if I'm going to make here question mark. Now what happens internally? We'll see here. question mark object. Okay, now you can see. So here the question mark is not applicable for this particular generic parameter. Getting the point? This is important. We need to understand whatever the question mark we are providing, the question mark is not applicable here. So we need to use the character information. Now I'm trying to modify to the character. So issue is resolved, and I'm going to create the object here, something like a wildcard. And here I'm going to write the method. So right now I'm not going to write anything. Void, and here I can write the name of the method. I'm trying to write as a wildcard argument here, and here I'm going to write the, so instead of T I'm trying to pass as a question mark here, and OB I'm passing here. Okay, and observe what we will do. We'll try to define the sum here, or what is the value we are going to get here. If I'm going to pass integer, we'll write a equal method. Okay, so we'll try to define the equal. This equals to OB. Okay, so simply we'll return true. And here, so I'm making as a boolean here. Okay, so this is the wildcard parameter example I'm defining here. And now what we will do, we'll go for this example. Wildcard demo, and now what I'm doing here, so T I'm trying to make as an integer, and WI1 integer object. So 78 I'm giving. Okay, so this is the integer object. Now one more object I want to create, something like double I'm trying to create. So WID is equals to new wildcard double 45.12. Okay, so this is the another object. Now I'm making condition. So I don't need to make any condition. Simply I can print this WI1 dot, and here I'm going to provide this object. Now you can see we are getting as a false here, but finally we are able to pass a different object. Now here I'm going to create one more object here. Here I'm going to make as a string, and WIS new string object, something like, here I will provide something like what we can provide. I'm going to provide as ABC, and here I'm passing as a WIS. So now you can see I'm trying to providing different type of here, but earlier I could not provide the string related because we extended from the number. We added one condition, the bounded type parameter. Because of that we could not extended this particular string class here. Now finally with help of this particular example I'm making here. Okay. Now what I will do, I'm going to create one more example. I'm going to create one more example, something like this example I will make as a 2, and here I will try to return as a 2 here, so that this example will return. So still it is returning 2. Okay, got it. Because these two objects are going to create in the different locations. These two objects are going to created in the different location. Because of this, now what happening internally? So I'm getting as a false here. Getting the point. So what we can do, I1 dot get class dot any other. So simply we can make this. Okay, simply we can make this, and now we can run. It is returning true. Okay, simply we can make this here. So this is the way of making this particular wildcard argument here. Now observe carefully. Here the first object I'm passing, and with help of this particular second object I'm checking the both the objects are equal or not. And whenever I tried with the different objects here, in the different cases I got to false here. But what we need to understand carefully here, so I tried with the double and string and integer. Now if you want interested, you can write the different example, the custom example. Okay, for example, here I can write the box class. So box is the good example, because we discussed multiple example on this particular box here. I'm not going to write any. Okay, parameters, we'll use the inheritance here, and wildcard I'm going to make as a box here, and WIB new box I'm passing. Okay, instead of this the WI2 WIB I'm passing. Okay, now you can see I'm going to run. Now we'll get the false here, because of this particular line number 13 we are getting the default constructor. Okay, internally we are creating the box class because we need to pass the box class parameter here. Okay, if you are not interested to provide any parameter, so we can create the default constructors as well. We can create the default constructor, we can call the different argument. Now observe carefully, whenever I'm trying to define this particular parameter, the wildcard parameter, we are able to pass any number of types here. Okay, so this is one of the important example. So if we observe this particular T and this particular question mark, because I will explain the one of the example array list, we'll see anything inside this we have any question mark related. Yeah, now you can see we have a one constructor. Okay, we have a one constructor, so it is expecting collection, and internally now you can see they are making the wildcard parameter, and internally they are trying to extending with particular E. Okay, what exactly this particular E? So if I want to understand this particular E, we need to go to this class, because array list internally they implemented as a generic type. So by seeing this particular example, now we are understanding. So this class is internally implemented the generic concept. So this particular abstract list also it is implementing. But now observe the condition, the bounded parameter, the bounded type, how they are making it. So this is the parameter of this particular constructor, and internally they are trying to make this particular question mark, and they are trying to extending with the particular E. So if I'm going to open this particular collection, now you can see collection is also is expecting E. Get in the point? E is nothing but it is a one of the generic type here. Get in the point? So this is important here. By seeing this particular example, we can easily understand how they are making the generic type of conditions here. Okay. So any questions regarding this particular wildcard arguments here? The same example, how we are passing here. So I'm trying to implement one example. So this section we can discuss in our tomorrow session. So because it's going to take some little bit time here. And once we familiar with this particular, the wildcard and the bounded type here, now we'll move on to the generic method. How we can create the generic method, and once we come up with the generic methods and constructor, we'll define the generic interfaces. Okay, so these are all the remaining concepts we are going to discuss in our tomorrow session. So most probably tomorrow we'll complete the generic concept here. Now we'll move on to the lambdas here. Okay, if we don't have anything, we'll continue tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.